In 67 BC, a Roman general named Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, Pompey the Great, watched over 1,000 of his elite soldiers writhe on the ground, convulsing, vomiting, unable to hold a sword. Not one Persian arrow had been fired. Not one enemy soldier had touched them. They had simply eaten honey left on the road. And then the Pontic warriors walked in and finished them off. You were never taught this version. You were taught Pompey as a Roman titan, a conqueror who swept across the ancient world. Nobody mentioned that his campaign in Pontus was nearly derailed by bees. That is not a metaphor. That is exactly what happened. Here is why this story was buried. It exposes something uncomfortable about the greatest military machine in human history. The Roman legions, disciplined, brutal, unstoppable, could be neutralized by local knowledge. By ecology. By a tribe that understood their own land well enough to turn its flowers into a weapon. The region was Pontus, along the southern coast of the Black Sea, in what is today northeastern Turkey. The local population were the Heptacometes, a tribal people who knew something that almost no one outside their valleys knew. The rhododendron flowers that blanketed their hillsides produced nectar that was deeply toxic to humans. The bees gathered it faithfully. The honey they made looked normal, tasted sweet, and would drop a grown man to his knees within 30 minutes. The Greeks had a name for it. They called it meli monomenon, mad honey. Now here is the tactical genius that most historians gloss over. The Heptacometes did not hide this honey. They placed it. They left large combs of it, openly arranged, along the exact route Pompey's advance forces were marching through. 3 large deposits. Impossible to miss. Almost too good to be true. Roman soldiers on campaign were hungry. They were moving fast. And they found what looked like an incredible gift, local honey, plentiful, sitting right there. They ate it, greedily. Within minutes, the first symptoms hit. Extreme dizziness. Nausea that came in waves. Then a strange and terrifying weakness in every muscle. Men who had marched 20 miles that morning could not stand upright. Some began laughing uncontrollably. Others wept. Some could not speak at all. The dosage was not quite lethal. The Heptacometes had calibrated this carefully. They did not want dead Romans. Dead Romans cannot be robbed and cannot be humiliated. They wanted incapacitated Romans. 1,012 men. That is the number Strabo gives us in his Geographica. All of them on the ground. All of them helpless. And then the Heptacometes came down from the hills. If you are watching this and feeling that mix of horror and dark amazement, that is exactly why you should subscribe. We cover the history they never taught you in school. The real story with the real details and the real consequences. Hit subscribe before the algorithm buries this. Now here is the layer that recontextualizes everything. Pompey survived. The poisoning did not destroy his campaign. He recovered, reorganized, and eventually defeated Mithridates VI of Pontus, the king he had come to remove. Roman historians recorded the mad honey episode, but they framed it carefully. They presented it as a curiosity. A strange local incident. An anecdote. What they did not emphasize is that this was deliberate. This was strategy. The Heptacometes had used this exact technique before. Xenophon's soldiers encountered the same honey in the same region roughly 350 years earlier, in 401 BC. His Anabasis describes 10,000 Greek mercenaries collapsing after eating local honey near Trabzon. They all survived, but the pattern was already there. The knowledge of mad honey as a weapon was regional, inherited, passed through generations. The Romans walked into a trap that had been set 3 centuries before they arrived. And mad honey did not disappear with the ancient world. That is the detail that should genuinely unsettle you. Grey anotoxin, the compound responsible, was recorded again in military history in 1542 when Ottoman forces reportedly used the same honey against Christian soldiers in Anatolia. The Ottoman historian accounts are disputed, but the toxin is real and the region has not changed. The rhododendrons still grow there. The bees are still making it. Today, in the Kakar Mountains of northeastern Turkey, mad honey, locally called deli bal, is still harvested. It is sold legally. Small amounts cause euphoria and a mild high. Larger amounts cause exactly what the Roman soldiers experienced. Turkish emergency rooms still treat cases every year. The doses are usually accidental. Usually. What the Heptacometes understood in 67 BC is something that asymmetric warfare theorists still write about today. You do not fight the superior force on its terms. You fight it on yours. You use the terrain. You use the biology. You use the knowledge that only local people carry in their bones. The Roman legions were an empire of standardization, identical training, identical equipment, identical tactics across every theater. That uniformity was their greatest strength. It was also an exploitable blind spot. They did not know what they did not know about the land they were invading. One tribe, no standing army, no walls, no cavalry. Just honey. And they sent over 1,000 Roman soldiers to the ground without a single conventional weapon. History tends to remember the empires. It forgets the people who knew how to make the empires bleed. Pompey's campaign became a Roman triumph. The Mad Honey battle became a footnote. But footnotes are where the real story lives. The next time someone tells you the Romans were unstoppable, ask them about the bees of Pontus in 67 BC. Watch their face. They will not know what you are talking about. And now you do. If this is the kind of history that actually makes your brain light up, subscribe. Every week we pull the buried story out from under the official one. The details they left out are always the ones that matter most.